Kathy Keller with the Money Coaches, and we're visiting today with Stacy Dixon, who is an insurance advisor with American Senior Benefits. And Stacy and I met because she started walking me through the maze of Medicare. So Stacy, I'm just going to ask you a few questions to kind of give some people maybe some information that they don't have, which might also cause them to have additional questions. So we'll forward any questions we get on to you, and hopefully we can solve this riddle of Medicare with people.
Yes, I appreciate that I can help people out. It's sometimes called a riddle, sometimes alphabet soup, sometimes why can't I understand this?
That's right. Okay, so the first question I just want to ask is, when can you apply for Medicare?
Okay, the first time that you can apply for Medicare is when you're turning 65. So you can do that 3 months before your birthday, the month of your birthday, and 3 months after your birthday. That gives you a 7-month period. If you try it beforehand, you're just going to be told to wait, and if you go after, you may have to wait for a special enrollment period for you. So it's best to keep it, if you can do it 3 months before you turn 65, you avoid a lot of mess, paperwork's done, and it makes your life easy.
Okay, so who enrolls you in Medicare?
Well, one of the first things you need to do is call the Social Security office. You can also call 1-800-MEDICARE to help get that ball rolling, because you need to enroll into your Part A, B, and then eventually your D.
Okay, so you just brought up the alphabet soup. So can you briefly explain to me Part A, Part B, and Part D?
Okay, so Part A is your hospital. It allows you to have some of the things that you need in the hospital, but not the doctors. So think of it as you get a fancy bed in a hotel. That's all Part A entitles you to.
And terrible food.
And terrible food. Hey,
Yes.
The Jell-O I hear is pretty good.
Okay.
But with Part A, it doesn't cost you anything. You're entitled to it as long as you've done enough work throughout your life. Part B is the one that costs you a little bit, depends on what you made throughout your life. And Part B is where you get your doctors and your services. So that would be your specialists, your physical therapists, things like that.
Okay.
Now, if you're going to Part D, that is the one thing that is the easiest. D for drugs, for your prescription drug plans. If you don't enroll in your drug plan, the problem is you may not have a lot of drugs right now. You may only have one prescription, and you're like, I can handle that. But then there's a penalty. And then you have to pay that penalty plus the monthly premiums every month, and it becomes a lot to deal with as you get older.
Okay, so the penalty only applies to Part D?
There are some for Part B if you don't enroll in it and you are eligible, but it depends also if you aren't eligible and you're delaying retirement. So that's where Part B gets a little bit sticky, but again, if you talk to somebody like me or the Social Security offices, we can usually clear that up pretty quick for you.
So are you required then at some point in time to have all three parts, A, B, and D?
If you're not part of something like you've been in the military and you already have that covered, then you should have those so you can have all of original Medicare, so that there's no penalties and that you have that 80-20 split for your medical needs.
Okay, all right, that sounds good. Okay, we've all heard about Medigap policies. Can you kind of tell us what this is?
Okay, so Medigap policies, think of it as everything that isn't covered under original Medicare. So that would be your supplements, any of your supplements, and there's several different types, some of them with more letters, and some of them where it's all encompassed in one. They help you cover your co-insurance or deductibles, things that you would originally have to pay when you have the original Medicare, where it's that 80-20 split. What a lot of people don't understand is that 20% is unlimited. So if by chance you get a horrible diagnosis of some type and your treatment plan is $1 million, you are then liable for the $200,000. And that can happen every year. So that's where the Medigap plans with the supplements of different types come in, and they help you so you don't get into those financial hardships, so that you don't get into a sticky situation that really can hurt you in the long run.
Okay, So, as you and I were walking through the process, you gave me a book that kind of defined all the different letters and what they involved. Is that something that would be a resource that's available?
Yes, if you sit down and meet with me, one of the things I do is I give you a folder of information, and one of them is, since this is 2020, it'll be this 2020 Medigap policy book. And it goes through and covers things that are important and give little pictures that make it very easy. So, A for hospital, B for your doctors, and D for your drugs. But then it also goes into what's covered under original and what's covered under the Part C or the Medigap and what those are like.
Okay.
So that helps a lot along the process when you're trying to figure out, do I want a supplement? What type of supplement? Am I somebody who is a monthly planner and I want to know exactly what my bill is going to be? Or am I the person who doesn't go to the doctor very often and I just pay as I go? So there's two types of policies to help with that.
Okay, so we had discussed the popular plans for the state of Indiana, and because this is an infomercial, so to speak.
Right.
We're not going to go into a lot of detail, but can you just kind of touch on those?
Sure. Some of the supplement plans, there are two letters that are the most widely available. Those are the G and the N. And one of the things that not everybody knows is that every company can charge you something different, but they have to offer you the same G plan quality. It doesn't matter if it's company 1, 2, 3, or 7. It does not matter. It has to give you the same quality G plan from G plan to G plan.
Okay.
They can offer you something better, but it has to be at least the Medicare minimums.
Okay.
With that being said, that's one of the reasons why it's important to sit down with people like us to help you find the best price, the best company to deal with what you're looking for. So if you're looking for, in 2020 or later, a G plan, then you know that most of it's going to be covered, but there are some deductibles for going to your doctors. If you go to an N plan, there's those deductibles plus a couple little co-pays. Then there's another type of plan that is an all-encompassed plan, and those are kind of pay as you go, and that's something I can sit down and talk with people about.
Okay, all right. Well, that makes a lot of sense. And so it's the best thing to do is what we did, which is, I think, as a joke, when you first contacted me and said that you had received a card from me, I very quickly told you that I had not filled out a card. And when you came to visit me, you brought a copy of the card. And of course, the handwriting was not mine, it was Rich's. And so he wanted to make sure that I had all the sticks in a row, so to speak, and got everything taken care of. But that is how we got in touch. Was just through a direct mail piece that you had sent out, and then
Correct.
I filled it out, well, not me, Rich filled it out and sent it back to you. And then you came to our home and spoke with us,
Right.
gave me the packet of information, gave me your email address, and allowed me to send you any questions that I had. Then, before you left that day, you reminded me that in July I could actually apply, and so
Yes.
we set the appointment then that I could come in and we discussed further things. So it was very helpful to me. So I know you, but if I didn't know you, how do I find somebody like you?
Well, there's a couple different ways. There's national organizations like NAHU. It's a National Underwriters Association that people like myself are a member of, and you can find us in a directory. You can find us by saying insurance advisors near me. You can ask one of your local friends, or you can talk to people like the money coaches and say, hey, who can I contact? Who do you know that's local that you can trust? The other way is you can directly contact, if you're interested in a certain company, you can contact them directly and they'll help you out. They might tell you they have a local agent, or they'll just put you through the call center.
Okay, that makes sense. So I've made the decision. I've contacted Social Security. I've got my Medicare number. I've got everything in place. I've put a plan together with what plan I'm going to take, what supplement I'm going to take. How do I pay for it?
Okay, so it depends on which plan you pick. You can choose to have it comes directly from your Social Security, or it can be something that you pay monthly straight from your banking account. It could be checking or savings. Very few companies now have you send the payment in, just to cover you in case you have an accident and go into the hospital. They don't want you to miss a premium and then go without health care. So it's usually something that's automatically deducted.
Okay. One of the things that you did for me when we were looking at the drug plan is you took a list of the medications that I'm currently on.
Yes.
And then you did a comparison for me to show me which would be most beneficial for me to use. Is that a service that most people would offer, or is that something that you just did as a courtesy to me?
That is something that is unique to our company here with American Senior Benefits. We are powered by a wonderful company called Integrity Communications and Marketing, and they help develop the software so that way we can actually put in all your medicines and find the best prices. We can break it down by company, we can break it down by how much you're going to pay each month or by mail order for whatever works best for you and your preferred pharmacies.
Okay. One question that I had also, do my rates or premiums change when I first start off? Is that the premium I'm going to pay for the rest of my life?
They do go up and they do change. The rate of what they change varies from company to company. So that's one thing I always tell people, try and leave wiggle room in your budget because you never know what happens or changes. And keep in touch with your insurance advisor because they know and will get rates sent to them as to what's changing for that current year. So even if you touch base 2 or 3 times a year, it'll really help you in the long run because we can tell you, hey, we know that this plan's not going to be continuing. It's going to get really expensive. Here's a couple alternatives for you to choose from. What works best for you?
So basically, it's a good idea to review your policy
Yes.
regularly, just like you do your car insurance or your homeowner's insurance, to see that you have the coverage that you need and to make sure if there is going to be an increase that you have someone that will help you once again maneuver the confusing waters of alphabet soup to know that you get what you really need.
Right. It's always good to double check things. It's the same with like your life insurance. You should check every 5 years to make sure nothing in your life has changed.
Okay, very good. Well, I know there are lots more questions that we could talk about, but I think this just kind of gives us an overview very quickly of what we've done. I really appreciate the way that you walked me through this and how easy you made it for me. And when I did have questions, I could contact you and you would get right back with me and answer those questions. So thank you for taking your time. We hope this has been beneficial to the people that we work with to answer some of their questions. And once again, this is Stacy Dixon. She is an insurance, let me remember, advisor. I knew I would forget that word again. An insurance advisor for American Senior Benefits. Your office is located in Terre Haute, but I'm presuming that there are other American Senior Benefits offices.
We're nationwide. So we have offices everywhere, and one of the things we pride ourselves in is putting the people back into the people business. So we're happy to help however we can, and if I need to drive 2 hours to see somebody and help them, I will drive 2 hours to see somebody and help them.
Okay. Well, thank you, Stacy, for your time.
Thank you.